title of today's topic is Pressure is Privilege. Think about a time where you accomplished something. You got that new job. You got that new car, right? In the beginning, it's almost a blessing beyond measures. You graduated high school. Congratulations. Now you're an adult. Now you need to get a job. Now you need to decide, are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to the military? Are you going to go away for work? Any type of progression in your life is going to have some type of pressure, and it's gonna keep adding on. It's inevitable. On the track. Welcome to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Guys, I am so excited to be back. You have no idea. It's been about a week and a half since I've been able to record, but we're back. There's been a bunch of curveballs thrown my way. First and foremost, I've been sick for about over a week, been coughing my lungs out, and I definitely didn't want to come on the show and cough in y'all's ear because I've done it before and y'all gave me some backlash about it. Secondly, I probably made the biggest financial decision of my life thus far, one of the biggest. I'm so excited to share that news. Once everything's final, I would definitely get on the show and share it with y'all. But in the meantime, just know that some big things are happening behind the scenes. Also, there's been some adjustments in the Common Podcast staffing. Probably won't get into that. Just, letting y'all know that there's been some changes, and I'm pretty sure that y'all will see it coming soon without me even having to say it. But so today's topic, a lot of curveballs have been thrown to me personally in my personal life, but I'm here for it. And that's actually what we're talking about today, pressure, right? And the title of today's topic is Pressure is Privilege. Pressure is privilege. I actually saw this in a caption on one of a professional athlete that I'm following on Instagram, and they captioned their post simply that. Pressure is privilege. And if you know me, I tend to overthink things. And so I really started to think about this caption, and I was like, man, that is deep. I know a lot of people would just read it, like the photo, and just go ahead and scroll on. But this is actually very, very deep. And I wanted to cover on, and what better way to do it than on the show. So pressure is privilege. What exactly does that mean? And a lot of things started popping up in my head, and I started doing some research, and I was like, man, this is gold. It has so much truth to it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. You see, pressure is often viewed as a negative thing in our life, and understandably so. An enormous amount of pressure can lead to a lot of stress. It can lead to a lot of turmoil, which eventually can lead into depression if we allow it to. But there's a big but. Each challenge in our life presents a grand opportunity that will test our character, right? I don't know any athlete or any successful person, quote unquote, that has become successful without overcoming a large amount of pressure. You just don't see it. Anybody that is at a high level of performance always has a large amount of pressure, whether that be from fans or coaches. We're speaking about athletes, high demand. We'll talk about business people, consumers. There's just a large amount of pressure on all of these people, and we see it from time to time, and that's no coincidence. It really isn't. So why is it worth it going face to face, toe to toe with pressures? Why is it worth it? You see, if we associate pressure with stress or being bad, we're not going to gain anything. We're going to be too afraid to seek past adversity, to see past trials and tribulations if we just associate pressure with it being bad, because it's not true. Let me start by saying that in order to see some type of progress in your life, and it doesn't have to be some I'm going to be a millionaire, or I'm going to be super successful, or I'm going to become a doctor type of deal. It can, any type of progression in your life is going to have some type of pressure, and it's going to keep adding on. It's inevitable, but that's a good thing. And that's the way that it should be. Right. So Why is that the case? See, pressure helps us grow. Pressure helps us keep honest with ourselves. It helps us engage with life. In fact, some of the best decisions ever made by your day-to-day people or athletes or business people is done at the face of adversity, is done in instances where they had to make a very hard decision, sink or swim decisions. That's when pressure's at its peak, right? When everything's on the line. These are what helps us grow. This is what makes us learn things in order to innovate. That's how people in our history have been able to progress us into the humans that we live in, the society that we live in today. I came across this quote, and the quote says, "If necessity is the mother of invention, then pressure is the mother of performance." And that's huge. So think about it. Everything that has been invented, we can talk about chairs, we can talk about tables, anything. We can talk about this mic that I'm speaking into. It's all been done because there's been a need. And so that's what this quote means when it says, if necessity is the mother of invention, there was only an invention made because of the need that was required. I need to eat more efficiently. The spoon was made. I need to cut through my steak. A knife was made. These are things that were made because there was a need. And that goes hand in hand with pressure, right? If you want to perform at a higher level, there's going to be added pressure into your life. If you want to live a more privileged life, and y'all are probably wondering, okay, so where does the privilege come in? And we're about to get into that. If you want to live a more privileged life, now let's cover privilege. What is privilege? Privilege essentially is freedom to do or own things that you've always wanted to own, or to have the liberty to do things that you've always wanted to do. For instance, have your own home. I've been living in this home for about a little bit over a year now. And a little example, before I owned this home, I lived with my father. And although that life was comfortable and I have no complaints, there were some courtesy restrictions. There were some things that were unspoken that I just simply couldn't do. It's not my home. Out of courtesy, I couldn't do certain things, and that is fair and understandably so. So if I wanted the privilege and if I wanted the liberty to have my own home, to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted, come in and out of the door whenever I wanted, be as loud as I wanted to be, to make this podcast at whatever time I wanted to do it, there comes pressure. There comes pressure of the bills. There comes pressure of maintenance. There comes pressure of fixing things around the house. There comes pressure of all these different type of stresses are added onto you, right? Trying to figure out your taxes, all these different things. There is pressure that is inevitably attached to the privilege of me owning my own home. I wanted a car. Guess what? I'm going to have to pay that bill. I'm going to have to get insurance for the vehicle. Any type of achievement, any type of progress, again, in your life is going to add on some type of pressure. You graduated high school. Congratulations. Now you're an adult. Now you need to get a job. Now you need to decide, are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to the military? Are you going to go away for work? Social pressure is now added onto your life. What are you going to do? You often get that question. You're graduated now, so what's next? Instant pressure is added onto you by simply graduating. You graduate college. Well, guess what? Now you got to find a job. Is it going to be a good enough paying job to pay your loans? How's the demand of the job or the career that you went to school with? There is just always constant pressure, and the more that you climb this ladder, pressure is inevitably going to grow with it. And that's the way that it should be, and that's a good thing. Oftentimes you see the people that get paid the most have the most pressure on them, right? And this is no shot to any any bum or any type of person that's homeless, but let's talk about it. Someone who's living on the street, someone who doesn't have, and we can say that has the option to do better for themselves, but they choose not to, right? They don't have much pressure. They don't. If they choose to live on the street, if they choose to live day by day, there's not much pressure. But guess what? There's not much privilege either. If they wanted to take a nice shower, if they wanted to have a very great meal, if they wanted to have a nice car, if they wanted to have a nice house, guess what? If they wanted to do that, they need to be willing to accept some type of pressure in return, right? And this is just the name of the game, right? And it's all about perception. Are you going to be positive and are you going to be grateful for those things that you have in your life? Think about a time where you accomplished something. You got that new job. You got that new car, right? In the beginning, it's almost a blessing beyond measures. You're so happy. Your family's so happy for you. Oh my goodness, congratulations. And as the time ticks down, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, you tend to take that for granted, right? You forget how much of a blessing it was in the beginning. And so now it's not worth the pressure for you anymore. That's often how we look at it. So again, it's back to perception. Are you going to look at it? Are you going to be grateful for what the pressures that you have, right? That high paying job, guess what? It comes with a large amount of pressure, but guess what? It also supports your lifestyle, right? There's only up, and the more that you go up, more pressures are going to be added to it. Or are you going to cry and moan about life and say how stressful it is and how the world is unfair? Are you going to say things like, oh, I'm going to kill myself because of all this pressure? And that's no joke. I don't say that lightly whatsoever. I'm not making fun of it. So please don't think or try to make it seem like I am. That is a real thing. I've had people close to me say things like that all the time. That they would much rather, leave their life because of a large amount of pressure, right? And that's a soft way of thinking. I'm sorry to say, but it is. Okay, and it's not because these people have or anybody watching. If you're at a time like that, understand that you don't have more pressure than the person next to you. I guarantee you that there is someone out there that has had way more pressure than you have, and yet you're feeling this way. It's a perception thing. Are you really as grateful as you were once, or are you not willing to deal with that pressure now? You got to ask yourself that question. And believe me, I know pressure and stress sucks. It really does. But you know what else sucks? Someone's going to come along that is willing to deal with that pressure and that stress, and they're going to take your place. Believe me, somebody out there wants your position. Somebody else wants your pressure. Somebody else wants your privilege, and they'll take it from you. That's going to be all for today, guys. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. I know I enjoyed putting it together, and in my mind, I was just thinking about it, and I had a great time just wanting to come back on the show again and then just spilling out what's on my mind. Again, guys, if y'all enjoyed today's show, I would appreciate it if you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, share with at least one person if you found this beneficial in any type of way. Guys, I love y'all. There's some big things coming soon. There's going to be some exciting guests coming on very, very soon. So be looking forward to it. Also, I have very few amount of merch, but if y'all want some merch, message me on my socials. That's going to be down in the description. But without further ado, guys, I love y'all. And until next time, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.